Hey guys, I've had my eyes on Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes since it got announced. And while I've never played any of the No More Heroes games, I've always been very intrigued by them and thought they were very interesting. It seemed like something I'd have a lot of fun with. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to kind of give my unbiased opinion on a game that I'm not a fan of, and also, so it can kind of help out maybe people who are a fan of it, or some people who are like me who have been interested in it but have never gotten into the series. That being said, here's my review for Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes. Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes is a hack and slash action adventure game developed and published by Grasshopper Manufacture and directed by Suda51. Suda51 directed No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle, and while Travis Strikes Again does take place in the No More Heroes universe and star Travis Touchdown as the main protagonist, it is not a direct sequel to No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggles. Instead, Travis Strikes Again is its own spin off. The game starts with Badman sneaking into Travis's trailer to seek revenge for Travis murdering his daughter Bad Girl in one of the previous games. During the struggle, they get sucked into a game console that is in the trailer named the Death Drive Mark II. This is basically a prototype system that was never released, and the console itself connects to your nervous system via the Death Glove. You see, you play the game with the death balls, and apparently Travis didn't have any death balls, but for some reason Badman does. So he shows up, they start to tussle, and the game starts, and Travis gets sucked into the game. If you're not confused yet, then it's still early, so just stick around a bit. So there were allegedly 6 death balls created, and if you collected all 6 death balls and defeated them on the same Death Drive Mark II, then you would be granted a free wish. Badman intended to use this wish to bring his daughter Bad Girl back to life. So for whatever reason, Travis decides to help Badman out and search for the remaining death balls. So you leave the trailer on Travis's bike, which transfers you over to the Travis Strikes Back game mode. The Travis Strikes Back mode is you literally reading the dialogue of Travis investigating and tracking down these other 8 balls. The entire mode is formatted similar to that of a mid 80s computer run on MS DOS. Just simple green text on a black background. This will make up for about an hour of your playthrough, depending on how fast you read, and that's if you decide to read them at all. The first story is about 20 minutes of reading, and the rest are between 10 to 15 minutes. It is a very wacky story, so if you are just annoyed by it, then just spam the action button, as there are no decisions that you will need to make, and no information is crucial to you completing the game. So after each Travis Strikes Back mission, you return to the trailer with a death ball, and then have the option to start the next game with either Travis, Badman, or play co-op and use both of them. They both control very similarly. Travis will use his beam katana as his primary weapon, and Badman will use a baseball bat. You have your basic attack, which does little damage but is useful to bat hordes of weaker enemies. You have your heavy attack, which does much more damage but can also leave you vulnerable to attacks. Then, when you jump, you can use your basic attack to do a dash attack, and your heavy attack to do a ground pound attack. You can evade enemies using a dodge roll or simply by jumping. Sooner or later, you'll have to recharge your weapon, and you'll do this in the classic Travis Touchdown style. If you are using the Joy-Cons, then you will recharge in a pumping action similar to that of the Wii. And if you play on a Pro controller, as I did, then you have to push first the L3, then move up and down with your right stick. I've heard complaints of this being clunky, but I really don't have an issue with this. I understood where they were going and appreciated the creativity. Aside from your normal attacks, you also have a charge attack that is extremely useful. I found myself forgetting about this attack often, but once I got later in the game and the difficulty increased, I was more aware of it and used it more often. There is a meter for it, and once it's full, then you can use it. As you progress through the game, you will earn XP, which you will use to level up your character. Leveling up your character will increase their attack power and health power. You can use XP that you earn with Travis to level up Badman and vice versa. Badman will also start with slightly higher health power, but Travis will start with slightly higher attack power. My first playthrough, I played almost exclusively as Travis and used all my XP leveling him up, mainly because I didn't buy Travis Strikes Again to play as some character named Badman who I've never heard of. Now, my favorite aspect of the combat is the skill chips. You acquire these throughout the game, as they can be either out in the open in somewhat hidden locations or at the end of a stage. You can set your loadout to use 4 different skill chips at one time, and they have the option to save multiple loadouts or presets. Some examples are a lightning strike, turret gun, Healing Circle, Sleeping Spell, and my favorite is the ability to push enemies across the room. The skill chips all have cooldowns, and some may take longer than others to recharge. There is definitely strategy required as far as to which loadout you would use on different enemy sets and bosses. This keeps the combat interesting, as with any hack and slash or beat 'em up, the hacking and slashing can get a bit repetitive. I acquired between 15 to 20 skill chips, and I'm pretty sure there were a few that I missed along the way. This allows you the ability to mix up your attacks and keep the game a little fresher than it would be otherwise. The enemy design was a mixed bag for me. I felt that they did a good job of having a decent variety of low, mid, and higher level enemies, and you definitely had to handle them differently accordingly. My issue was visually I thought they looked really bad, and it was an overall issue that I had with the graphical style of the game. I get that they were trying to present the feeling of you actually being inside a video game, so there was a digitalized style that they went for with the enemies. I just personally wasn't a fan of this. This was just a preference of mine, but I would have preferred a different overall graphical style. The bosses were something that they did a very good job with. Each stage will have a mid-boss and an end boss. The end bosses were always completely different experiences, as I really enjoyed every encounter I had. They were definitely creative battles, and I looked forward to them at the end of every stage. The stage design, while being diverse, suffered from a washed-out graphical style, which held it back. Your primary gameplay for every stage will be a top-down hack-and-slash style, although some stages will change it up a bit. The Life is Destroy stage has a suburban neighborhood set up on tiles, as you can twist the tiles like a puzzle to maneuver through the stage. About half the stage is navigating through the neighborhood, while the other half is in the standard gameplay. The Golden Dragon GP stage has you competing in a Tron-style bike race, which I really enjoyed, but the majority of the stage has you playing in the standard gameplay, searching for parts to upgrade your bike with. There is another stage that has you playing an Asteroids arcade clone, and while it's enjoyable, it was pretty short-lived. The only stage where you could play the entire stage from a different vantage point was the Coffee and Donut stage. This stage plays more like a 2 to 2.5D action platformer, and while I actually think it's the most graphically pleasing stage, it's also the most poorly designed stage as well. You spend this stage going room to room and floor to floor searching for donuts, and you guessed it, coffee. You'll have certain rooms and floors blocked off until you enter a room and make it to the end where you may unlock a new door or floor. The problem is, it does a very poor job of indicating which rooms you have or have not already been in. Then there is the platforming, which has you bouncing on donuts. You will have little bounces and then somehow trigger a larger bounce. The problem is that there seems to be no rhyme or reason to when you did a larger bounce. I don't know if this was the most brilliant platform design or the most idiotic. I felt like Suda51 was just trolling the crap out of me. It was extremely frustrating, and it took some time to get it down. By the end, I mastered those damn donuts though. The only saving grace was that falling off the platform didn't really punish you much, as you often would respawn right back where you died. When you're not either playing a death ball game or searching for one, you'll be hanging out in Travis's trailer. Here you can interact with a PC, which has a t-shirt shop that you can purchase indie video game inspired shirts. This was a concept I was pretty excited about. The downside is that the only time you can really see the shirt is either when you're in the trailer or saving your game, which you do via going to the bathroom and the toilet. Also on the PC there's a ramen blog, which gives you the reviews and locations of the various ramen vendors that you've found throughout the game. The ramen vendors, by the way, restore your health when you find them, so don't pass them by. There's also an archive that you can interact with that will reveal secrets for each stage. You also have a fax machine where you will receive a new fax after each stage that will add to the storyline. Aside from that, there is just a bike that takes you on the Travis Strikes Back mission and a Death Drive Mark II, which you use to play the stages. After you've completed a stage, you can revisit them and try to achieve a higher score rank on them or try to accomplish some of the archive secrets. All that being said, I actually enjoyed my time with Travis Strikes Again. I've always been intrigued by the series, and this entry did not push me away from the series. Although I liked the game, I did have several issues with the game. The overall storyline was just way, way out there, and it's such an odd story that a few years ago, it would have irritated me so much that I probably wouldn't have been able to finish the game. The weirdness kind of grew on me, but it's definitely not for everyone. The Travis Strikes Back missions are a complete joke, so much so that they even make comments about how there's too much text and it's going to affect their Metacritic score. These missions should have been cutscenes, and it would have increased the enjoyment and overall quality of the game immensely if they would have used cutscenes for these missions instead. I get that it's a budget title, and maybe this was their creative way to expand the story, since they couldn't afford more cutscenes. I did become numb to it after a while, and by the end I had adjusted to it, but this will also turn some people off this game. The other major thing that I didn't like was the overall graphical style. I just wasn't feeling it, to be honest. The game literally looks like a $15 eShop game, in my opinion, and maybe you dig the art style, and if you do, then you will enjoy the game even more than I did, but it just wasn't for me as far as graphically. In the end, I'm giving Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, a 7 out of 10. There's a lot of fun to be had there, I felt, but it definitely fell short in a lot of areas. It took me 9.5 hours for my playthrough. If you count, that's my edited playthrough, was 9.5 hours. With all my deaths and stuff, it was probably 11 plus hours. There's a good, also about 2 solid hours of reading. So if you just want to skip the reading or whatnot, you can probably get through it faster. But I mean, I probably valued the game at around $20 digitally if you got it. But if you're a fan of the series and you just, there is a lot of fanfare in this game. But, you have to realize that it is a budget title. It's not No More Heroes 3. It's a budget title. If you go in knowing that and, you're okay with the graphical style, then I think you'll actually enjoy the game a lot. If you're a hack and slash fan like me, I think you'll be pretty satisfied with it. But, I mean, I still feel that 30 digitally and 40 physically is a little bit higher priced. If you get it physically, the inside cover art is actually pretty cool. So I thought that was worth mentioning. It also comes with a season pass, which will make Bad Girl and Shinobu as playable characters down the road, and they also have expanded missions and stuff like that. Not too much, but it's going to expand a little bit with the season pass. So I would definitely get the physical. That's me though. But that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a like, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.